Give me a hug. Come here. Come here. Okay. Hi. Oh, this is what we're doing? You chilling? Don't worry. Look at me. You're on my hand. Can you get off my hand, please? Okay, we'll start whenever you're ready. You're just chilling. Welcome back to another episode of Sessions with Blue. I'm Geoff, and this is my awesome dog, Blue. Today, we're diving into the topic of patience. Specifically, patience with people who are going through tough times or moments where they just don't seem to get it, really. Whether they're struggling to understand what we're trying to communicate or trying and failing to implement changes in their life. We're going to talk about how we can better show up with patience in those types of moments. In this video, I'll break it down into these three parts. The first part being what patience with people actually looks like. Part 2, walking with people and not really ahead of them. And part 3, what the Lord teaches us about patience. We often expect our friends to heal pretty quickly. We expect our partners to read our minds. We expect everyone around us to catch on as fast as we do, really. And when they don't, we tend to get frustrated, maybe not outwardly, maybe more in our heads. And we're probably thinking like, come on, finally, like maybe you might get it this time. We're so focused on them getting from point A to point B, and we maybe rush other people's journeys as fast as we want ours to go. But they're on their own timeline, and I don't think we're meant to impose ours on them. I mean, we get patient when Wi-Fi lags, when our food isn't ready in like 10 minutes at a restaurant, maybe even when the light hasn't turned green fast enough for us. And let's be honest, most of us really aren't that patient. But patient isn't just about waiting in line or keeping calm in traffic. It's about how we treat other people, how we walk with people, how we love people, especially when they're not being easy to love. And if you follow Jesus, you already know this isn't optional. What patience with people actually looks like. Patience is being present even when it's inconvenience to us. It's realizing that someone else's pace might be slower than ours, and we have to be okay with that. It doesn't mean tolerating abuse or staying in a toxic relationship or a situation. It means being slow to anger, slow to judge, and quick to listen. Patience isn't pretending things don't bother you. It's not swallowing your own feelings or smiling through your teeth, really. It's listening to a friend vent for the 5th time about the same situation, even when you've already given advice for them, and repeating yourself to someone you love without the we've already went over this, when are you going to get this? It's letting people grow at their own pace without making them feel like they're behind or even broken. Patience is choosing to stay when it's just easier to walk away, really. It's listening when judging would be faster. It's walking with someone even when they're moving slower than what you would like. We love this idea of grace for ourselves, but struggle to extend it to others. And think about the time someone's gave you the space to figure things out, whether that's to vent or to grow or to even change. That might have looked like watching you make the same mistake over and over, even when they warned you or told you not to do so. Or maybe it looked like them calling and texting and checking in on you while you were going through something hard. Patience might look similar in different situations, but is expressed differently depending on the person. It's really not a one-size-fits-all. It's basically kind of like a love tailored to that specific moment. You okay? Chilling? Walking with people and not trying to get ahead of them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone isn't trying to fix them, it's simply walking with them, or to sit with them, to listen without jumping to advice, really. Even when it's repetitive, even when it's hard, this will stretch you and oftentimes it will test you, but it will also help you grow. One thing I've had to learn is that people usually don't need a lecture. They oftentimes just need a friend, sometimes the best, and honestly, the most comforting is the one that's like, hey, I'm with you, I'm sitting with you, and I'm willing to do this with you. And we often confuse helping with fixing, but they really aren't the same thing. Helping can sometimes be about just the presence, and fixing is more of how would I go about this in a controlled manner? And when someone's struggling, it's very easy to become impatient. We often say things like, why aren't you over it by now? Didn't we already start talking about this? Or haven't we already covered this? But what most people need is someone who will walk with them, And there's a reason why Jesus walked with people. He didn't shout advice from a distance. He would often sit at tables with them, and he would listen to their stories, and he would meet people right where they were. And if you notice, he talked to people differently depending on their situation and what they were going through. And it's really an awesome cycle when you kind of get this right. So I would encourage you, are you walking with them, or are you quietly wishing they would just get it together already? Patience looks like consistent love in inconsistent seasons, right? Well, God teaches us about patience. So this brings me to a couple verses that I stated early on in the video, verses that show us what God teaches us about patience with people. The first is from the book of Ephesians, which was written by the Apostle Paul to the church of Ephesus, likely around 60-62 AD, while he was imprisoned. In this letter, Paul urges believers to live in a way that reflects their calling in Christ, which is marked by humility and gentleness and patience. And in Ephesians 4:2, he writes, "Be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love." So when Paul says bear with one another in love, he's not talking about just putting up with people. He's really talking about carrying the weight of someone else's imperfections with compassion, really. It's sticking it out with someone, even if it's messy, even if they're having a hard time, even when it takes patience. Paul doesn't say be patient when it's convenient. He says bear with them in love. The second verse we're going to look at is Colossians 3:13-14, which is another letter Paul had wrote, and this was most likely around the same time. And he says, be patient with one another. If anyone has a complaint against another, forgive that one, as Christ forgave you. You should forgive each other. Beside all these, you must have love. This joins everything together as it should be. Paul isn't just giving really good advice here. He's laying down the blueprint for relationships, which is patience, forgiveness, and then love. And if you notice the order of these, the first one is patience, and then he states forgiveness, and then he ends it with then love. Because patience opens the door to forgiveness, and forgiveness creates a space for love to grow, in a sense. And why do we forgive in the first place is because Christ has forgave us first, not because someone has earned it, and not because they said an imperfect apology, really. And really this is because we've already been shown undeserved grace, and now we're called to extend the same grace to others. And is it easy? No. Most of the time, it's very hard to do, especially when someone keeps hurting you or letting you down or just keeps falling into the same trap over and over again. But this kind of love, the kind that we're just talking about that bears with people and forgives and stays patient, is what holds everything together, really. It's really what reflects Christ the most. So maybe today ask yourself, who in your life needs more patience from you or from myself, really? Is it a family member, a friend, or a coworker? Or maybe it's yourself. Just like God is still working on you, he's also working on other people too. And sometimes people are just looking for a little patience. Until next time. Boo-boo, you okay?